Are you headed to a U.S. visa interview and you want to know exactly what the U.S. visa officer knows about you before you start your interview? Well, I'm going to go through that in this video, and you're going to know exactly what they know before you even walk up to that window. Hi, and thank you for joining me to talk immigration. My name is Andrea Shev, if you don't know me already, and I am a U.S. immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for over 20 years now, and I put together this channel for you to give you clear, concise, and easy to understand information about all different types of immigration topics. Now, this topic that we're going to talk about is something that I get asked all the time. What does the interviewing officer know about me before my interview even starts to get my U.S. visa? Everybody wants to know, what do they know before I even walk up to the window? Well, that officer knows quite a bit about you before you walk up to that window. And you know how they know about you? Because you filled out that DS-160 application that you submitted prior to making your interview appointment. Now, if you need help with that DS-160 application, which is very critical and you don't want to make mistakes, make sure you check out the video I did on that. Here's a link above and also underneath the video. Now, what is on that DS-160 that's critical to them that they see? Because remember, they only have a few seconds before the interview starts, and likely they didn't look at anything about you until your name was called or just about to be called. They pull it up on the computer in front of them, they skim it really quickly, and they usually have the core elements that they need to know what is the first question they're going to ask you and what do they really need to look into with you, particularly because of the answers and the information they have on that screen in front of them. The DS-160 is key because it tells them what? It tells them who you are. It tells them what type of visa you're going to be applying for. It tells them how long you're planning on going to the U.S. for. It tells them who are your relatives in the U.S. Do you have any U.S. citizen relatives in the U.S.? Do you have any relatives in the U.S.? And what types of visas are they on? It tells them what's the purpose of your trip. It tells them your education. It tells them your jobs. It tells them lots of information that they could use in order to make a decision about your case before you even open up your mouth. Now, one key thing that they do see on that DS-160, and they also usually see on that screen right in front of them, is if you've ever been refused a visa. Now, if you've been refused a visa, likely on their screen, it will give them information about why you were refused. Probably more information than you even know of why you were refused. Because lots of times we get refused and we don't even know why we get refused. They just say, oh, you're refused, or I'm sorry, you're denied. They don't really give you the details of the why you were refused. But they have on their screen the why. So before you walk up to that window, they have all the information about your DS-160 and everything you put on that document and that application. And they have information about why or if you were denied previously a visa application. Likely those two things are going to lead them to understand or to decide what the questions that they're going to ask you in the few seconds that they have you in front of them. What else do they know about you before you walk up to that window? Well, remember, you brought a picture or you uploaded a picture online with your DS-160 application, and you also had your fingerprints taken. Well, with those, they check your identity to make sure you say who you say you are, and they also check your fingerprints to make sure background checks. They check your criminal history, they check all kinds of things into databases to make sure that you have not done anything that you shouldn't have done that would cause you to be automatically rejected or questionable to be issued the visa. The other thing they also know from your DS-160 application is, has anyone filed an immigrant petition on your behalf? Because if you are applying for a non-immigrant visa and someone already petitioned for you for an immigrant visa, then there could be an intent issue. And even though sometimes it does not affect anything, even though you have an immigrant petition outstanding, it does not mean that you have immigrant intent and you should be denied the visa. It does go into the decision making when deciding should they grant the visa or not, and what questions to ask when they're interviewing you. That information is also on your DS-160. So those are the key things that they actually skim and know right off the bat. They know all about you and who you are and where you work and your education and your family and when you're going and all that kinds of stuff. They know about your identity. They know about your criminal background, if any. They know if an immigrant petition's been filed for you. And all that information comes together in a matter of seconds, literally seconds. They do not have hours. They do not have even minutes usually to do any kind of review of anything. I mean, these officers are trained. They go through hundreds of interviews a day, especially at some U.S. consulates around the world. So they don't have a lot of time. So they are trained to skim and to identify very quickly the information that they need in order to determine exactly what they need to ask or what they need to not ask and make a determination automatically that you don't qualify. So what are the key takeaways here? The key takeaways are you better be very, very careful on that DS-160 application to be honest and accurate and very precise about the answers that you're giving them, because that information is the first information they see, and that is information that will likely be interpreted or be used to make the decision, sometimes even before you even open your mouth, if you should be granted that visa or not. All right, I hope that answered the big question of what does a U.S. visa officer know about me before I go to my visa interview. Now, if you need extra visa interview preparation help, don't forget to click below the free interview guide that I put together that has a checklist and it has a bunch of tips and pointers. Don't miss it. Click below and get it. And I hope that you watch the other videos that have to do with interview prep that I've done for you to get the most information possible so you can be the most prepared and the most successful when you go to your interview. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please have a wonderful, amazing morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.